Folks, this is Rob with Win by Doing here in North Idaho. Air quality is terrible. We are in the red. If y'all aren't familiar with that, it's where you measure the particles in the air and they give it a score, and that score determines on how hazard it is for your health to be outdoors. I think when I looked before, I want to say our score was 152. I'll have to double check. I can't remember if it was 152 or 252, but it's pretty bad. It's the one where it starts being unhealthy for small children, people with health issues, and older people. And you want to reduce the exposure to that air as much as possible. And today I am going over to pick up boxes from my father-in-law's estate. We just determined it's time. We have somebody that's going to be moving into the house. So we are going to officially be landlords. Under different circumstances, that would be quite exciting, but under these circumstances, it's just not ideal. Again, one of these days I'm going to get a better mount for my phone. It was probably bought at the dollar store or a gas station. It's pretty flimsy. You know what? I think I actually picked it up at auction. So it was more than likely an Amazon return. I can always tell when things come to the auction. I've learned what to not even bother with. The items that I bought were thankfully for myself, but it's basically what's happening is these people that are doing buying wholesale lots of, I'm just assuming they're returns, either that or, well, based on the volume that we're coming in there for a while, I want to say that they were all Amazon returns. And I'm just going to say this, I do think that a lot of people that do sell things on Amazon, I'm not saying everybody, but I think there's a good chunk of people out there that are just selling kind of crappy product. So I said it, and I think that's, when you see people spitting out these high return rates, I think that Amazon, because of the size they are, they're the largest online retailer. I think they're the largest retailer, period. I don't know how they stand up against Walmart. That'll be something I need to do some investigation in. I'm curious to know. If y'all know, leave it down in the comments. But I think they naturally drive the return rate and increase those percentages when people are spitting out percentages. And that is why I don't worry so much about free returns. Many of you know that I'm an eBay cheerleader, and I do I adhere. I follow their guidelines and their recommendations, and I, even before they made it a thing to offer free returns in order to get your top rated seller plus, I was offering free returns. And my return rate in over the last year and a half is, I would probably say right around 2 points. I think it was 2.7, 2.4, somewhere in there. And not the 30%, I think one number people throw out there on the return rate for online retail is 34%. I would tend to probably agree that there are a lot of items out there on Amazon that are getting returned on a regular basis. But they're banking on the bulk. They're selling a lot of items. So when you're selling, how, I don't even know what number to throw out there, but if you're selling a ton of items every day, that's gonna, even if you have those returns, what you actually have as successful sales is going to cover the loss generated from doing returns. So I don't, being an eBay seller, most of my items are one-offs. Occasionally I'll find multiples of an item, but everything that I buy is pretty much one-offs. I'm paying pennies to the dollar. When you look at the cost of goods, the fees, and then balance that out with how much you actually make off the sale. I have more than covered any loss generated from any returns that I get. And I'll be the first to admit, especially when I was first starting out, most of by things that I did, whether I overlooked something when listing. I'm sure all of us have been there and done that, where you didn't realize there's a button missing from a shirt, or you forgot to put in your listing that a book had spots on the outside. Somebody was particular about that. There has not been I don't think there's been a return. Well, there was one return that was a vintage bag, and even that, I think I've talked about this before. It was a vintage speed bag, and I kind of looked at it as a collectible and not necessarily something that would be used. But what did I know? Because I'm not a boxer. But they tried to blow it up, and there was the bladder was leaking, and I want to say it bulged on one side, which is something that you can easily do, is replace that bladder. It's $7-8. But the fact is that I sold an item that I didn't disclose any the defects with it, simply because I didn't test it. So again, these types of returns, you can't blame the customer for that, and you can't blame eBay for that. It was just, me doing poorly at my business and not paying 100% attention to detail when creating my listings. I see it. I remember quite a few Facebook groups, and it always blows my mind when people complain about somebody returning an item because of whatever. Well, is that whatever? Did it actually happen? Did you disclose that in your listing? I agree getting a little frustrated on something that was fully disclosed. I know those instances are out there, but they're not as often as people would like you to believe. When you're part of these groups, if you're having that many returns, there's got to be. You really got to sit back and reflect on what you're doing, what you're sourcing, and how you're listing. You need to make some changes in your business model or the way you run your business to lessen the number of returns you have. I think that you sit and you look. The other thing, don't focus just on the negative. You sit and look at your business, with what it's a big picture. Don't tie emotions to the items you're selling. Just figure, okay, I sold an item for $10. Me personally, on my free returns, I charge the customer shipping. I sold an item for $10, and it cost the customer, $6. So let's say it went flat rate, $6.70 for shipping. I'm not going to get into any discounts you have because of stores and everything, but you give the free return, you pay for the shipping to get it back to them, and you refund the shipping. So essentially, I would be out $12 for that item. some people would like to break it out saying you lost the $10. Well, you didn't really lose the $10 that the person paid for the item because you got the item back. You're out, but you are out the $12 that it costs for the label and getting it to them initially, because you're refunding that amount as well. I offer returns on shipping both ways, and I know a lot of people don't. That's just the way I do business. I don't knock people that charge a customer for the return shipping. It's just something I do. But you look at that $12 that I lost on that item, but if I've netted, let's say on the low end, $1,000 in a month, because I'm a part-time reseller. If I netted $1,000 in a month gross on all the other products I had, it brought my net profit that month to $988. So you're still coming out ahead. People hate, you read in the groups, and people hate people when they say, well, that's a cost of doing business, but that's the fact. There is a cost of doing business. That's cost of doing business. We pay fees. What do those fees get us? It gets us the ability to put used items on one of the largest online platforms for used products. And I just ran into traffic. It pays for the servers that our items are stored on. The entire platform, paying for the developers to make changes to apps to try to improve them, which the apps and the website has improved over the years. So it's not like they haven't been just collecting the money and pocketing it somewhere. They're actually making changes, and yes, everybody wants to make money. So they are making profit off that, but it's your individual fees that you're paying. I mean, you're not paying overhead of a brick and mortar location. You're not paying advertising to bring customers to your store. You're not paying for customer service. A customer service rep, to answer the phones when there's an issue with the website. You're paying, the only thing you're paying for is the ability to list on their platform. And whether you like it or not, you wouldn't be making the profits that you do if you did have to pay all that other overhead out. It seems that at the spring update, which was the big one, everybody was up in arms about. It seems like everyone was complaining about going to these other platforms. I'm going to stop selling eBay. I'm going to go to Poshmark. I'm going to go to Etsy. I'm going to go to OfferUp. I'm going to go to Letgo. Bonanza. I've never even been to that site, but there's all these other sites that are out there that people were threatening to go to. But I would love to know the percentage of those people that said that they were actually going to just pull up and switch to these other platforms. How many of them are still active on those platforms, and how many of them, it's been 3 or 4 months since the spring update. I can't even remember when it came out, but how many of them are still just as active today on those platforms as they were the day they threatened to pull off of eBay, and how successful have those other platforms been for them? These other platforms don't generate near as much traffic as eBay does, and eBay doesn't pull as much traffic as Amazon does. Traffic is just going to do. Okay, but I know. I experiment. And mine wasn't because of any seller update or changes to eBay. Okay, well, I'm back on the road. Yeah, I got interrupted by a phone call, and then I got over here and decided I was just going to throw a bunch of boxes in the truck. Got quite a bit packed up and heading back to Idaho with it. And if I remember right, I was rambling about all these other platforms that people are selling on. And don't get me wrong, they are a good way to diversify. You know, I think if you're just cross-listing, I think you might be missing the mark there. I don't cross-list on any platforms, and that's just my own preference because well, number one, it keeps me from accidentally selling one thing on two platforms, which has happened to me, and I had to take a hit for it. But also, I don't know how much you're buying by, or how much you're increasing your chance of selling an item cross-posting from eBay to other platforms based on volume, you know, traffic coming to the sites. I think it's a smart thing to choose items that do better on, say, Etsy. You know, whether it be crafty items or some vintage items. I still think more people are looking on eBay for vintage items than Etsy. But, you know, I don't have anything to substantiate that. That's just my own personal belief. I go into Poshmark. You know, put your clothes on Poshmark. But I don't know what the big items, what do people go specifically to Poshmark for? I mean, I guess I'm assuming it's clothing. Well, we know it's clothing, but I don't know. I've got items listed on Poshmark, but I can list the same items on eBay and they'll sell faster on eBay than Poshmark. If you're into the whole social aspect of it, you know, I know people say, well, you don't have to be completely social. Well, no, you don't, but it increases your chance, or it increases your visibility to Poshmark users if you do participate in the parties and share people's listings, have your listing shared. That's a huge aspect to selling on Poshmark. And if Poshmark was all I did, then yeah, I could see, you know, I would probably participate more in that. But as a, you know, having a full-time job and helping with the business and everything, I don't have the time to be as social as I think that is needed on that platform. But so I primarily do eBay. Those are pretty much the reasons. I think I might have to just do some research on and put that together. What is the traffic to each one of these platforms? Local markets, I think there's a specific. There are items that I would prefer selling on local markets, but I don't think you're going to draw, you know, all the vintage stuff that I own. I don't think I'm going to drive the price that I could on, say, eBay, just selling on, you know, OfferUp or LetGo. That and the fact that it's I don't think it's as heavily used in our area as in others. I know people that are very successful doing those local apps, local Facebook groups, and but you know, I think that population has a lot to do with that, and just knowing what type of items sell better locally. But I sell things here and there, but I don't know. eBay's my friend. And it's just fun to me. I almost wonder, the other day I was coming back here, coming down this road in the ice cream truck, because we moved a lot of the furniture in one of our box trucks, which is one of our ice cream trucks. We just brought it over and loaded it up. And I am just hoping, over here in Washington, they have photo enhanced or photo enforced traffic lights. So if you run a yellow light, they'll snap a picture. I'm just waiting to get a picture of the ice cream truck in the mail with a nice hefty ticket on it. Hopefully my wife doesn't watch this video. She warns me all the time. And then I never know, I've never stopped, but I don't know what the size of it. I'm just going to say that I think it's like semi-trailers, tractor trailers that have to stop at the weigh stations. But it kind of made me nervous the other day. When we were coming over here, I was right behind a semi. And we were going right, we were almost to the pullover to go to the weight station. And there was like a flash. And I was like, oh crap, I hope that they didn't catch me speeding, that they didn't expect me to pull over. It just made me nervous for, I don't know, probably a good 30, 45 seconds, had my adrenaline rush, adrenaline pumping. But, yeah, I don't know. I made it here, I made it over here, made it back. It's a good running truck. It's the newest truck that we bought this year, got on the road. The one, if you watch some of my past videos, I did a couple on sawing the window out and like a before and after of the truck itself before we, as I converted it over to an ice cream truck. But it's, let me tell you, it is handy to own box trucks. You can typically, if you want to get an older one, you could probably get one for, $2,500, $3,000. But anything newer, you're paying, well over 10, 15 grand for it. This one we bought, I think it had 32,000 miles on it when we bought it. So we feel blessed that we have something that new to drive around. It has air conditioning. It's a lot roomier than the other ones, but it gets up and goes on the freeway pretty good. The other two trucks that we have what the hell? Sorry, some dumbass tried to pull out, almost hit my front corner because he was missing his exit to the on-ramp. We're doing so much traffic over here. It's everywhere. I mean, I'm sure it's bad where you guys are too, but it's there. Seems like every route you want to take going anywhere here in the inland Northwest, you're going to run into road construction and traffic to go along with it. And just the traffic alone up here. Oh crap! I believe I just hit rush hour traffic. I will try to filter my language as much as possible. Thank you. I don't even know why I'm getting off of the freeway. Okay, well, I have an hour and a half to get home. I'm sure I will. We're not stopped. We're just pretty damn close to it. I'm going 20 miles an hour on the freeway. Up here in Spokane, man, traffic is horrendous. I'll probably be sitting through traffic all the way back to Coeur d'Alene. And you get to that point where you're like, should I just get off and take another route that doesn't involve the freeway? Then all of a sudden, traffic picks up to 25 miles. Oh yeah, we're going now. And then you go past the off ramp, and it slows back down to 20. Yeah, I'm up to 35. Woohoo! I'm at 50% of the speed limit. Probably help if I got over in the left lane. This is Washington traffic. I know it's not near as bad as it could be, but for this area and seeing the growth that I've seen over the years that I've been here, I came to Washington in 91. The Air Force brought me up here a long ways from where I grew up in north central Oklahoma, southern Missouri. Those are the two places I do call home. I was born and raised just west of Enid, Oklahoma. If anybody out there is from Oklahoma or familiar with the state. And we bounced around a little bit during my junior high years, and ended up landing in southern Missouri, just right across the lake from Branson, Missouri, Lake Taneycomo down there. A little town called Hollister. That would be where I graduated from. Class of 87. High school wasn't kind to me, but I survived. Here we go. I'm about halfway through the city. The problem is you have a lot of people that commute back and forth between Coeur d'Alene and Spokane. So you're getting heavier traffic coming towards Washington in the morning hours, and heavier traffic going east in the evening hours. What else was I going to ramble on about? I have to say, we're going to go back to eBay and customers, and maybe we didn't go all the way there, but I was wanting to touch on this. I don't know how many of you talk about or do best offer. I just want to say, if you're putting best offer on your listing, look at that, we're almost up to speed limit now. If you're putting best offer on your listing, that is your agreement that you are going to accept, not accept. You're going to accept that message coming in of an offer, regardless of what it is. I don't care if you have something listed $500 or $10, and they offer you $30 for the $500 item or $8 for the $10 item. Putting best offer on there is your agreement that, you know what, you're going to accept people making offers no matter what that amount is. If the offer comes through and it is not to your liking, decline it or counter. I mean, I would almost say I never just flat out decline. I'll tell you what I do in a second. I mean, basically, when somebody makes an offer, that they are open at communication with you as a seller, and they are getting your feel. Consider going to a garage sale and somebody has $20 on an item and you offer them $5. What's the difference? But you know, counter back. That's what I mean. That's my recommendation. Even if it's low, I'll tell you what I do. If it's a low ball offer and we know we get them, if I have something listed for $90 and they come back with 20, I'll come back with 85, just to see if that will boost them back up to a reasonable offer. And many times it does work. But if you automatically decline that offer, you have completely 100% lost that sale. Don't get bent over it. Don't get into the mode of calling them a low ball scumbag. I mean, these are our customers. That's how we're getting paid, by customers. I just don't get it. The negativity I see on eBay customers. You know, that's my little as much of a rant as you're going to get from me. Other practices I use, I don't know. We already talked about free shipping. I have started doing auctions a little bit more now, and I'm enjoying that. I've got stuff in my inventory that has been sitting for quite a while, and I just finally decided, you know what, I want to put some of this stuff up for auction, and have been successful liquidating some. Liquidating all, no. But I have come to a point in my eBay career that I need to do a serious overhaul of my inventory. I think I did cover this a little bit, but I've gotten to the point where when I see some of the items coming up on, you know, ready to relist, I'm thinking, where is that? Do I know right now where I would go to get that item? And when I say to myself, no, I really don't know. I probably look for that item for a half hour, 45 minutes, hour, whatever, just to be able to locate it. That's a good sign that I need to tighten up my inventory. You know, I've got just under, well, I think I've got maybe 411, somewhere between 410, 420 items. And the further I have gone in my growth as an eBay seller, I look at some of the stuff that I used to source, and I do wonder why did I buy that? Well, I know why I did it, because I did what everybody says, and oh, you see this item, it looks like it might do okay, it's only 50 cents. What's the comps? Oh, last time it sold for $15, $10. And at that time I was excited about that, but then you don't realize when you're first starting out that there are some other things that you need to look at. Look at, you know, how many of them have sold in the last, you know, X amount of time. How many are listed currently? What are the prices that they're at? You can look at comps all day long, but if the market has dropped on that item, those comps aren't telling you anything. You know, something might sold once last month for $30, but I forgot to delete some of my older files. I was so abruptly interrupted by my dang camera. So anyway, I was just going through my evening. I'll see if I can catch a little bit of footage, but I talked about Isabel doing her sewing project. So part of the project is for fair, they get judged on, it's called a style review. So it gives all the kids an opportunity to put their outfits on. They get accessories for them and walk the catwalk, I guess what you call it. They go do their little turns while the announcer reads I can't remember what it's called. They basically make statements that can be read about the garment, what they did for the project, kind of personalize it. So the kids put that together, and the announcer reads it while they're walking the floor. So she's going to do that this evening, and probably a late dinner. It seems like when it gets super busy, we eat out way too much just because of lack of time. It seems like, especially in the summer months, well, specifically the summer months, we are going from morning to evening. By the time I get up, go to work, Cat's usually heading to Spokane, a few times a week, every other day, whatever, to pick up ice cream. She has to come back, stock the trucks, get them ready to go out on the road. When I get off work, I'll help out where I can and do my eBay stuff, and then we have to close the beach, the concession stand at the beach at 6:30, and then the trucks come in at 8:30, which that's soon to be over. So it does make for pretty busy days. I'm probably going to miss my turn up here. So yeah, I think we're going to pick up a light dinner late. I say light because I have to cut out the beer consumption and eat lighter, or be more selective as to what I'm eating, because my weight has gone out of control again. Believe it or not, at one point I was 310, dropped down to 215, and now I'm hovering about 260. So it's a struggle. The struggle is real, but such is life. Anyway, I may get footage of the style show in at the tail end of this. I may not. It just kind of depends. But thanks for going along on this ride with me, and we'll see you next time.